Greetings, everyone. Tommy Hawksblood here, calling from the Big Island of Hawaii. Co-host TJ Morris. I'll let her say hello. Greetings, TJ.
Hi, Tommy and everybody. It's nice to be here. We're going to try to figure out what we're doing on the planet and why we're still here. Uh, Teresa Morris, I have TJ Morris ACO Club, and my goodness, I'm not ready for my close up. I've asked my sister to come here today in case she can hear something that we're going to talk about, how we can go forward with being spiritual beings here in a human body. But why do we even want to stay here? And we're getting older as baby boomers. And Tommy and I both had near death experiences, but he wrote a little bit about what he'd like to talk about. But on Tuesdays, we pretty much let him take the lead since he and Tina have had 3 years on Tuesdays. So, Tommy, what is your topic for today? And is it a monologue or a dialogue today?
Well, we're going to have open. You could ask all the questions you want, but I got things I want to get through today. Uh, Basically, it's taking another step. Every week we're going to do a show, but it's going to be one closer to where you need to get to go when you're trying to create a spiritual path. Uh, and I'm a rebel. I'm hardcore. You're not going to find anybody else on the planet like me, but you're not going to find anybody else on the planet that can equal what I'm going to teach you. All right, and I say that not in jest. I spent my whole life on 14 religions, which actually answered nothing about God. I studied multiple paths after that, and each one of them had a little bit of help, guidance, and things to learn and teach. But none of them followed through with the ultimate God and reasons why we're here, the reason why we leave, the reason why we come back, all those reasons. There's direct answers. When somebody says, well, I think it's this, they have no clue. There's only one reason why you reincarnate, people, and we'll get into that. We're going to get into why you are here in the first place. How long do you think you're going to have to stay here? All of words are critical, but remember, the founding root race was Hinduism. The first religion on the planet was Hinduism. And basically, Tibetan Buddhism came out of that. They changed deities, which means they changed their little gods, I call them. But they followed similar teachings. But there is no God in their religion. And they believe in oneness, they believe in nothingness, they believe in all those kind of words. But if you're on a real spiritual quest, want to attain something, get somewhere after you die, there's a lot of things you need to do. All right, and we're going to go through that. And there's many steps to get there. And unless you're ready to take a path and follow it, it's not going to help. Because we don't have much time. The planet's in turmoil right now. Whether you understand that, perceive it, or want to know it, we have serious problems going to happen. We only have a time frame left. So we need to move forward in our own path, not in Trump's, Biden's, or some other person, Pope, the Dalai Lama. None of their paths are going to help you or me. If you can't find it yourself, you're going to be in serious trouble. You'll be on a wagon just like all the cult groups. They will follow one guy and he said, okay, everybody kill yourself today. We'll go to heaven. Whatever. It's not like that either, people. Nobody should tell you how to find your spiritual path. They should give you a couple ways to do it. But when the teacher comes out and says they're better than you or can teach you so much, really, they cannot. Everything you're going to learn in your life comes from you, from within yourself, experiencing things you need to experience. And I'm going to say this over and over when I talk. There's two things you need to learn on this planet Earth. Okay, one of them is, okay, my guy wants to come in already. All right, the first step is how to leave your body, not astral projection, which is a starting point, or past life awareness of all your past lives that you had. The word is eternal, which everybody uses in a new age world now and everything. We're all eternal. Eternal doesn't mean a thing if you're not aware of all the time that you've been here. It's like, I've been eternal since the beginning of time. Okay, what happened in the beginning of time? I have no clue. So it becomes learning the awareness that you need to learn. Otherwise, you're going to reincarnate. I know different people are going to say different things about reincarnation. You have to until you attain an awareness that makes you able to stay away from planet Earth. As long as you're stuck on it, you will stay here. All right. But if you don't believe in a God, I can't help you, and I can't preach to you or tell you anything, because you're already in a oneness state of mind which Buddha created. That there is no God, we're all one consciousness. If you believe that, you don't need anything. You're part of everything. You
That's
can
a
do whatever you want.
philosophy, right?
It's a belief. It's a total belief now. The universal energy. They're all part of it. They're all one with it. Even Deepak Chopra and Eckhart Tolle, they're in that space. They're not in God's space. They can't talk about God. They can't talk about death, and they can't talk about reincarnation. Really, because Deepak Chopra just said today, well, reincarnation is just energy, and he just made it into nothing. No, it's your past lives. That's what it means. Soul is eternal, but it had lifetimes, just like you're in this one, and they have actual things happening. And you can recall all that when you become an aware person of your past lives, which is critical. Okay, Tina, I'll let you ask some questions. TJ, sorry. Is your the half here? Did she leave? No. Oh, man. Can you hear
Can
me
you
okay?
see?
Yeah, I see you fine.
Oh, well, what I was wondering, it's feedback. Uh, I'll put my, let me put my,
Headset on.
I shouldn't have any feedback. Do, do you hear me now? Or,
I hear you fine.
oh, okay. Well, what I was going to say is, when we talk about reincarnation, a lot of people that were raised Christians don't believe in reincarnation, even though some of us may have studied Jesus and the Emerald Tablets. A lot of us only know the deluge story, and most of us were brought up, Tommy, in a time like yourself in New Jersey, under the belief in America that all we had in the beginning was the Bible, and that happens to be not the Gutenberg and Greek, Latin, and well, before Aramaic, Greek, Latin, Hebrew,
Was
was all of that got translated in various languages, and it lost the continuity. And matter of fact, they don't even say, they don't say that Jesus wrote the Bible. They don't say that God wrote the Bible, and then they say certain men are at least the New Testament was written by certain people, and maybe they suspect the original was Moses. So you hear all these stories, and you and I will pass, and people like to hear stories that are well told. And you and I feel like we're telling our truth about reincarnation because you and I happen to think on the same level because we've discussed it and agreed after 12 years. But you and I really haven't had a sit down talking about 7 years over reincarnation. But I do remember what you sent me, and I do relate to that higher level because I got to relate as one of my teachers, Green Tara, which you did too. So, as far as my memories and my reincarnations, we don't have to go over them or yours either. But we do need to let people know reincarnation is a real thing for most humans, not maybe all of them, are the newer souls that have been born here. So why don't you start? I know that people don't understand the God that you do, and each individual has their own God, which people don't realize that's a God level, and that we are only God realized at a certain time when we think with our brains. But our memories and our consciousness isn't necessarily our brain. So, could you start the difference between the God we learn about in all our lessons taught from the time we're little, and then you went through Ekankar and had a complete different idea of out of body and what God was? But now you want to, share with us because my God is not your God. But what we like to say, those of us that follow the Bible, is we follow what's called the Abrahamic faith, Abraham, based on the Bible that was written, and we adopted King James Version. If you want to get into the world history of world religions that have come and gone. I might talk too much there. Did I lose you, Tommy? You get
no,
what I'm.
not at all.
Okay.
All right.
I'll
So the concept of God is based on when you're little, what your mother and father program you to believe. Most people that are Christians, there's 2.5 billion people on this planet that are Christians, that are told this, that, and the other thing. So the concept of his God is what they get from the Bible. Man wrote the Bible. We all know that, or should know that. God never wrote it. Jesus never wrote it. But all the writing in there was written by people that had an idea of what they could perceive at that time frame. Jesus' disciples were not very intelligent beings, for a word. All right. They didn't have that giant vocabulary. And most of them didn't have schooling. In other words, only 4 out of all the people that were with him could even write anything. All right. But they didn't write their own gospel. All right. They were written by people around them. So I'm going to get into a couple of things about God before I explain why I can talk about it. But the concept that God has is written in the Bible. And when Jesus talks about it, realize Jesus was talking about a father. All right. He didn't use the word God. He always used my father, our father. All right. Meaning what a man could perceive. Everybody has a father. Even if they leave or whatever, they understand what a father is to them. All right. The person that was around when he got born and all those kind of things, that they help you and teach you and train you and all those words too. All right. So that was the beginning perception of God for the name Father. So when he was talking to people that had very limited awareness of words, he had to say Father. All right. So when he said our Father, my Father, he was always talking about the same person. All right. But it wasn't a person that these people, it wasn't an entity that these people could believe. They had to believe it was a person. And when Moses came out with the idea of God, he said, in our image. Well, we're not in God's image in any way. And people want to believe that. Moses was not in the image of God in any way. He was a high black magician. All right. He didn't even make it into heaven. And there was a lot of things he did wrong, like killing people. He was not a beautiful, loving being. He wasn't a God enlightened soul. I mean, when he created 663 laws, read them. It's in the Old Testament. All these laws that he created, he couldn't think like a spiritual being either. So when he got to the promised land, he wasn't allowed into it. It doesn't go into detail because nobody could write that. Nobody was as old or smart as Moses was about that. They all were trying to get into the promised land. But the people he brought to a promised land were all children. The families that he brought from the original starting point were all died. It was 4 generations, and it was the children that made it to the promised land. And that was a horrible situation after as well. These people moved into a promised land, and there were people there. So guess what? They had to kill all the people that were there. And that's in the Bible if you don't believe it. All right? And Moses said, you're not allowed. He was told he couldn't go into the promised land. And it doesn't go into detail because nobody could understand why he couldn't. And Moses couldn't even understand it himself. Well, when he walked these people around in circles for 40 years, right? He didn't know what he was doing. It was only maybe a 5-10 mile year, not 40 years to get where he had to go. But he had them walking around in circles until they all died. To get to a promised land, if you're talking about God's promised land, you can't get there in the physical body. It's simple. Whether you want to understand that or not, it's up to you. Death is the way you let go of this body, which is not who you are, and your mind that's in this body is not who you really are. So when we say the perception, Buddha taught about mind. He didn't believe in God. He didn't believe in soul. All right. It was mind and that one consciousness. It was energy in this physical reality. But there's many steps beyond that which you need to go if you want to attain God realization. Or self-realization comes in when you realize yourself is a part of God, but not God, and understand God. That's self-realization. Very few souls make it to that far, even in this reality. So when we talk about God, perceptions of God in Hinduism, they had deities, all different deities. They had about 135 different deities. All right, but 2 of them are the main deities, Shiva, Durga, Kali. All right, and they work with them. And it was all sexual practices and what they did, everything based on sex, nothing else. All right, I mean, Kama Sutra, all that was always sex. It had nothing to do with our spiritual. All right, in that time frame, they believe Kundalini energy raises your energy to God, real as God energy. All right. In this reality, the highest sexual feeling gives us the idea that it's the sheer bliss of God, because it's the most important feeling to most men and a lot of women. But it's a physical feeling coming from the brain, which has five senses. Soul doesn't. Soul doesn't use five senses when it leaves the body. Because when you leave the body, you're not breathing, you don't have to, you can't be burned, and all those things, you're not of the body. So the concept of reincarnation and all that is different because soul comes back into a body, and it's not the same mind. Soul, it has its awareness, and it always will. That's the eternal awareness that soul has. When you go into reincarnation, not reincarnating, going into your awareness of your reincarnations, you become aware of all those lifetimes you had. And it's not somebody else's, it's not Joe Schmo's down the road's idea. It's all things you experienced as a soul, but your body was never the same. And the other
Now we
thing,
should,
go ahead,
may I
Judy.
interject that there's many, many, many people that others listening to this may not understand what they're talking about, and it may just be the Me Too's, but many people haven't had out of body near death. Tommy and I have, and it gives you a feeling of knowing who you are without your five senses and without your body, and knowing that ESP is real because you are still real outside of your body. So some people, my sister's had an out of body and she only went so far, but a lot of people go a lot farther than just outside their body. And Tommy, in the past 2 or 3 weeks, has explained what it was like to leave your body. But that's how a lot of this Kundalini gets taught. And especially those that study the Tantra or the Middle Eastern ways of your energy and your chakras going and leaving, especially during a sexual thing. But what he and I know is that's not necessarily you or that is senses through your brain and what he's telling us now. So, Tommy, those that know reincarnation, we need to get some way of letting them know how,
All right.
because you know
Let
what I'm
me,
saying, the people that teach Tantra are teaching a cross between Middle Eastern and Western philosophy.
but both of them lack God. Now, when we talk about what she was talking about, all right, and you're getting ready to leave your body, all right, we're going to start from there, back and forth, because basically, when you're getting ready to leave your body, soul is separating from the brain, the consciousness and the awareness of the brain. They have two separate awarenesses, and I'll teach you how to tell the difference very soon. But again, they're separate, they're not the same. Soul will always guide you in the right direction. Mind will never guide you in the right direction because it doesn't know right from wrong. When there's three doors, soul will say, pick the third door. Mind will say, maybe the first door, or maybe the second door. It has no awareness of which door it should really pick. Soul is in time, not our time frame. Their time before and after us. So they know what's happening, they know what's happened, and they know what's going to happen. And that's why they can guide you as a soul, because you're aware of that if you listen. So when we talk about leaving the body, the native people forced themselves to leave their body, and it was called Sundance. They torture their body until the soul leaves. People in other countries use ayahuasca or different drugs to do it. Leaving your body doesn't mean you're an aware person or an aware being. It just means you're leaving your body. And there's multiple places here that soul can go through when it leaves the physical body. All right. Now, when you talk about the astral plane, it's a lot different because there's a different energy that you have to have. You have to have your astral body to get into the astral plane. You can have your regular soul here and stay here. That's what ghosts and spirits are. They can't leave. All right. I mean, there's people that can cross them over. I know I can, but I mean, in general, they don't get crossed over. They stay where they die, or they stay where they feel lost, or whatever. But they can't get into the astral plane. They have no spiritual awareness to even attain that.
Why do
Now,
you think some people, when they die or have an out of body experience, a lot of people have seen people die, or if they've seen their ghosts leave their body. But some people don't have a guide instantly, and there's time, like the movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze
Right.
and Moore, or was that her name? I forgot the Demi Moore.
Right.
Right. But explain that, because
Well, it wasn't
that's the
Diddy Moore.
closest thing we can use as an example of sort of seeing yourself overhead and coming back in, which I've
Well,
done many times. So has Tommy. But a lot of people don't understand it. So
well,
let's
you
say they
know,
do. Let's start with give them the those that are
well,
listening.
we can't give
They
them the benefit of the doubt because
know
most people
that.
did not experience being out of their body. All right. Now, it's like saying, I'm going to describe a dinosaur to you, and you have to believe it. I'm going to describe an alien to you, and you have to believe it. You will never believe it until you see it. You won't believe it's real until you see it. My partner doesn't believe in aliens completely. All right. She doesn't believe in a lot of things that I do, like God. So it's really hard to talk to somebody that never understood or experienced it to talk about it. So, yeah, this isn't going to be people that don't want to know about God because you can't learn anything if you don't. Reincarnation is because you didn't learn anything in a lifetime. You'll do it over and over until you start learning something. And it's not by going to school, not by taking classes, not by listening to somebody on a street corner screaming this, that, and the other thing. There's very few people that can guide a person. Meditation's a step, only a small, slight step forward. Just getting out of your body is only the first step of leaving your body. Astral projection is being controlled by the mind. So it's not a good thing. All right. I'm sorry. I should have used the word remote viewing, not astral projection. People do remote viewing. They close their mind and they project themselves somewhere. And the Army has been doing that for a long time. George Washington could do it. I saw pictures inside his house and in his castle where when he created his Army headquarters and everything. He was able to do that. That's how he fought his wars and won. But it's not a beneficial thing to spirit. Usually, people that do things like that are doing something negative. If you're going to rob a bank, you go in there and see what the combination is, and come back and go rob the bank. Go into a person's house, see what they got in their house. You know if you want to rob their house or not. It's used
So
badly.
how
Go ahead.
does remote viewing differ from you said compared to the astral plane, but
Astral
what has that
projection.
got to do with reincarnation? Because talking with your ESP and your higher selves or guides, some people have guides and some don't, at least in this plane. Like they can't, like Namgal, she can't see aliens,
Well, she has a deity. A
see a
being she
god,
works with. She
but
she
she
works with
doesn't
a
see
being.
God either. So
She sees a
if you
being.
can't see things, that doesn't mean it's just your senses. You have to prove to you, like people from Michigan, the show me state, right? No, it's Missouri, Missouri on their tag. You got to show me. But explain, these are senses, and we here in a physical form, we believe to think is to create, but we believe a lot what we can see. But you're right. What about the people that are blind, or there's certain senses they don't have? Like a computer can do certain things, but it can't right now. We're teaching it to smell, taste, touch,
Well,
but people need to know reincarnation. Okay, you said eternal. So some of us know and have memories or come back here to this planet and find out, oh, shoot, I've been here before and I remember this. And that becomes, especially little children coming to Earth, some of the souls are old souls. They remember or they've had past lives. You and I happen to have memories that we found, but did we learn those or did we literally? I mean, because we both know, but tell them the difference. There's remote viewing, which is not ESP and it's not the astral plane, just playing around, and with or without drugs. Can you
well,
explain that?
remote viewing is part of this reality. It's a vibration and energy that exists here, not on the astral plane. All right. Remote viewing. When everybody says we're connected, yes, we're connected at the energy level in this reality. All right. We think the same, we act the same, we eat the same, all those kind of things. All right. But when you do remote viewing, it's a projection. You're controlling what you're doing directly. I could give you the steps and the techniques to learn how to do it and all that. But you stare at the bottom of the table. You stare at a table and keep staring at it until you see the bottom of the table and things like that. But it's remote viewing, which is not beneficial for spiritual growth. For seeing your partner in their bedroom or something like a friend in a room or something. That's what they use it in the army for, to see where their army people are, what's happening. All right. They stopped it in the army because all the people that were being used for remote viewing realized what they were going to do with the remote viewing information that they got. And they realized all these people were being killed because of them. So
Well, we
again,
used it in warfare, counterintelligence, but we did learn how to use grids, maps, and the global maps that we have, and then we would grid it and tell people to see certain places, and then see what they could see with their mind's eye. But we would give them coordinates a lot of ways, so
right,
they were taught how to read certain places. And now certain people, like Russell Targ or whatever, will say, "I'm going to put this picture inside a secret envelope and let me know." And some people would get it right and some wouldn't. So there's various factors and various teachers that teach remote viewing if you're interested, but it can be taught. But it's not your soul, it's not reincarnation. So what is that? Essence or thoughts going somewhere?
it's a game that man plays with his mind. It's not
Consciousness.
beneficial. It's not beneficial in any way.
Well,
All
it
right.
was to see certain Russian
Well,
big,
no, everything
big
on this planet.
catapults
Wait,
and things moving.
let's get
Some
this.
things are used.
It's going to
You
be
know what I'm
hard to
saying?
understand.
Well, if you're out of body now, Tommy, I think what they try to do is tell you if you leave your mind's eye and if you travel consciously in the cosmos, they're all
No.
trying to bring it together. And I was just listening to Billy Carson today, trying to say your inner conscious is where the new reality is,
All
where
right.
it's
I
always
listened to every person that said they had a
inner
near-death experience, a near-death experience. Every single one of them has a programmed idea of what happened. All right. Seeing their mother, seeing their father, seeing Jesus, seeing God, seeing these things. That's not what happens. All right. It's the only thing that the mind could put together out of the experience. So even in remote viewing, it's limited to the mind's awareness. I mean, if you walk into a world and there's dragons and creatures and everything walking around you, you're not going to be, oh, I was with a dragon and he taught me. No, it's not going to go like that. So when you talk about remote viewing, you're dealing with physical reality. The protons, neutrons, electrons of planet Earth, the magnetic field, the electromagnetic fields. All right. And you're within that. And you vibrate within that. We all do. Soul doesn't. Soul doesn't stay here. But I did want to say this about soul. Every soul that's on this planet has a spiritual guide or two. Whether they ever listen to them, ever find them, is their problem. And it is up to them to find them because they'll be there. And then finally, when they decide you don't want them, they will leave. So you have a pretty long time to make a decision what you want to do on that level.
Well,
But
reincarnation and then the soul and God are real deep subjects. And then we add in all this remote viewing and ESP and astral. I think we got here by going and saying astral plane versus astral travel, maybe. Astral travel, time travel, where you can sit and imagine yourself somewhere else that's still in your consciousness.
well, the
Is it
simplest
not?
technique I give anybody when they start doing an exercise to get out of their body is when you meet with a being, whatever it is, being, person, entity, whatever, you challenge it first, and you got to know how to challenge an entity and make sure that it's coming from God or a higher level, and then you allow it to take it wherever it wants to take you.
What
It
if they
knows
don't
wait,
believe
wait,
in
wait,
God?
wait. It needs it. Who doesn't believe in God?
Well, when you said they said, well, listen to what you're teaching now. There's people out there that are atheists that may want to experience this, but they don't believe in a God.
Well,
And
here's the
the
problem. They're
world's
not going to
changing
get
to
to.
make you
They're,
not believe in a God.
they're not going to get to any higher level. They can't. Guides have to show you. If you went to Africa and went on a tour, you'd get a tour guide. The same when you leave your body. You have to have somebody showing you around. You would get lost in the lowest level of the astral plane and stay there forever. But see, something that people don't realize, which we all have or did have, was called the silver cord. That's to make sure souls don't go flying into the astral plane and get stuck there. It brings everybody back to their body. All right, that's the first thing. Nobody talks about it anymore because nobody believes it's even there, but it is. All right, but getting back to the point, when we leave our bodies, there's a guide, and you need to challenge it because entities and demons are all there as well. Each one of
All right,
them
so are
could
we
take up.
looking for a guide? Because I've done all
Yes,
this
you are.
work
No, I
with
tell no,
guides.
I tell people
I've,
exactly what to do.
yeah, I've done
When
it
your
with
guide comes,
guides, and then Hawaii, I've traveled with guides, and I've studied with women that help me with guides. But one of them even told me I had 7 guides behind me, and depending on which way you
well,
lean, and I don't know
you could,
how
but
much that's
here's the
true or
thing:
not.
you
So
need two,
think about it.
you need
How
one or
we
two.
teach finding something. I guess we're going to have to teach people how to leave their body if they don't know how
Well,
without taking
that's the
drugs.
starting point, but not right now. They need to get to a
Well,
point where they really want to do that.
we got to get a foundation, like you said last time, of
But let
God,
me just finish this one part.
soul, spirit, reincarnation, and also what it all is, and why would they want to when inner consciousness and outer consciousness, macrocosm, microcosm. Now they're teaching one is more important than the other.
That's
They're
all
both.
mine.
You
It's
have to
all
be
mine.
balanced.
It's all mine from scientists. It has nothing to do with God, has nothing to do with angels. None of it. They'll never get in touch with that energy because it doesn't dwell in the physical world. Playing with cloning bodies and all that stuff has nothing to do with a God or higher level beings. Angels don't want to play that game. And we're destroying ourselves by doing that and allowing that. All right. So when I get back to when we find a guide and you challenge them, all right, no entity, no form could stay there if you challenge them in the name of God. And hopefully have some awareness of a God. They can't stay there. No demon, no devil, Satan. I mean, Lucifer's not a devil, but none of them can stay there. Satan stays here. He's trying to keep people in this plane of reality. All right. He doesn't want people to reincarnate. When they say he's so bad, no, he gives people what they want. Because if you don't get what you want, you wouldn't want to stay here. If you imagine if men couldn't have sex, they'd want to leave right away. If they couldn't drink or they couldn't play sports, they'd want to go somewhere else. So it's giving them what they think they want, which is nothing important. It has nothing to do with attaining awareness of soul and the next realm after this plane, which is incredible. I mean, the astral plane is incredible to this reality.
Well, one thing I'd like to mention is you're talking about if they wouldn't want to go there because of bad things, and we don't usually like to evoke bad things, but a lot of people that are doing crack cocaine, fentanyl, and there's an epidemic in this world, not just in the United States of America, but it seems to make people step out of their, it makes them want it and desire it and crave it, like that's what drives them to go and get something to trade for the money to get the crack, whether it's cash or sex trade or slaves. But this whole thing is getting out of proportion, and we need to bring the light of the best back, which rolled this back somewhat to where, they say we've always had wars to the Roman Empire and the Anunnaki and the wars of heaven, but all of this energy spinning, left and some right and left. Can you do that? This is inside, outside. Then you got to do one or the other. But there's both energies, and your level, Tommy, I know who you are at the highest level, and you speak way above this. But when you get frustrated is when you get down here in the mesh of what I call the
Well,
truths of Earth.
to talk to people, you have to forget everything you know because they don't know any.
So
All
you
right,
have to
it's
get
hard.
down and talk to them about the good,
You've
bad,
got
and
to come to the lowest level that you can. All right.
down to
But getting back
earth.
to the point, when people attain an awareness, they start growing greatly. But everything you learn, I wanted to get into these two things, like drugs. When you leave your body on drugs, you're not going anywhere spiritual. You might see blue lights and ray guns and all kinds of stuff, but you say, wow, I've made something. You didn't attain anything. The angels don't hang out there, and neither does gods, the lower gods I call, like the deities on the different realms. Every realm that you go to has a couple of deities that control what goes back and forth through it. But when you're in the astral plane, there's 3 deities there that'll stop you from going any further than that. I'm not going to say their names because you won't like it. But here's the thing. When you're leaving your body for the first time, what you attain in your reality is going to determine if it's going to grow or not. If you go into any of these experiences with fear, you're not going to get much further. But what I was getting back to the point is when you leave your body for the first time and you're looking and your body's over there and you're over here and there's something standing in front of you, that's what you have to challenge. Now, deities are important to work with. They don't work with many people. Angels work with everybody. Everybody has their own angels. But so do demons, so do entities. The problem is the most important, serious problem you need to realize any one of them could take on any form they think you want. All right. Well, I want my mother. I want God. I want this. And they'll take on a form and say, okay. But see, that's when you have to be able to challenge it to make sure that it's real.
Well,
Because
this
they
is the
won't.
thing. Let's say, for instance, you got to take people on the story. Let's say you're teaching about God and reincarnation, but if you try to get out of your body into a life after death experience or near death experience, we don't encourage that, folks. But there is a way to teach it where you do gain some knowledge about your past lives. But also, you can be taken back in hypnotherapy. I don't know how Tommy teaches you to grow. But most of us have got it through the school of hard knocks and experiences or studying world religions and metaphysics and grinding our way down our spiritual path, which is what this show's about, getting on your spiritual path. So let's say that they're at that point where they're in their late 20s and they've heard about people like you and me that teach this stuff and leaving your body and that near death and what it's like on the other side. But we know we're here for a reason. And you said you'd tell us the reason we're here and why we have a soul and the part about reincarnation and coming back. But you and I are here right now. So obviously we're here to teach what we're teaching, or we wouldn't be here right now in the now.
Well,
Leaving the now.
while you're on planet Earth, everybody's forced to believe they're here to do something important. It's programming by every spiritualist out there, every person that's doing a workshop. You could be the best you can. You could become the highest you are. You could become a super dimensional being. All right. But here, do you want me to bring you in, Brenda? Or no? Can you hear me?
Does Brenda want to say something? Because she can add something because she's at a
He's
level where
talking. You got your mic on, Brenda?
Brenda's my sister, folks, and she's a nurse, registered nurse, and she's gone through a lot herself. And add a lot. She could add a lot to the show.
I can hold on. Let's see what
But
happens.
she may want to add. There she is.
You
That's my
okay? You're on.
Can
All
you?
right. Yeah, we can hear
Yeah,
you.
Brenda, I'll mute. Go ahead.
Because I've been trying to write comments and chat when I was on earlier. Nothing ever went through. So I finally logged out on my iPad and logged in on my phone. So here I am. And I've had so many questions since you've been talking, but I'm so overwhelmed that I don't even have all my questions anymore. Because first
Well,
off, I don't believe in reincarnation.
right.
So I'm just at the beginning of all this trying to understand what y'all are talking about and where y'all are coming from and trying to be open minded about it. And
Well,
so you need to look at your audience as someone like me because I'm totally ignorant. I was brought up as a Christian. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. And so everything that you're saying, all this foreign stuff, I'm very interested in it. I just don't know about it.
Well, you know
well,
I believe in
what?
God and Jesus, and so does Tommy.
Well,
So
no.
from
Wait,
there, I'll mute.
TJ. All right, I'm going to tell you this straight out. All right, I know Jesus completely. I knew Mary Magdalene completely. All right, what Jesus taught, what Jesus said. If you believe in Jesus, which you say you do, right?
Yes.
Did you read the Bible from cover to cover?
Yes, I have several
Okay,
times.
do you remember where Jesus said, "In my Father's mansion there's many rooms"?
Yes.
You know what he was talking about?
I think it was heaven.
Many rooms means more than one room.
Right.
He was talking about the different planes to get to God.
Well, I don't have the Bible here, but
Oh,
it was.
no. She
said
read it.
many
She knows what
mansions
I'm
hath
talking
my
about. Most people
Tommy.
don't even remember that.
I think it's many
Okay.
mansions hath my Father in heaven, in the
But
in the King James version.
remember,
She would
he
have
was
read.
talking to people that had very limited awareness.
Right.
He couldn't say realms or higher realms or God realms. He said rooms, because everybody knows they have different rooms in their house. The bathroom, the kitchen, the living room, the dining room. That's not what Jesus was talking about.
But how do you know that, Tommy?
Because I was there.
But
All
when you
right.
say that, do you understand most people are like,
I know. I don't care. But see, I can't make people understand. Wait. Do
but
you
that's
believe? Wait. One question. Do you believe in John, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John?
that's
All that.
right, John, Acts and letters to the Romans.
You
Yeah.
know? Do you believe in? Wait. Do you believe in Paul?
Yes.
He never met Jesus physically. He met Jesus through a vision. All right, that's a fact. So his teachings came from being with Jesus in a vision, not physically with him. So if everybody could accept that from him, why can't they accept it from somebody else? See, I studied the Bible. I was going to become a preacher. I read the Bible so many times, and I went over it. I was going to church 6 hours a day, 6 days a week. But here's the thing: Mary Magdalene. Oh, we lost your voice.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay. I'm not arguing or questioning anything you're saying. I just want you to understand as a viewer, I'm just like, so
Taken back.
I just don't know where you're coming from. And I want to know that. But it's hard for me to even comprehend because I can't even understand what reincarnation is. Because being brought up as a Christian in the church, we've never believed in reincarnation. No preacher that I've ever heard of has talked about
Well,
reincarnation.
Christians don't believe in it.
And so, that's what I'm saying. I'm not questioning you. I,
Well,
I just need to understand. I want
well,
to.
maybe I hate to do this, but Buddha taught about reincarnation, and that was the first religion on the planet. It's thousands and thousands of years older than Jesus was. So he was explaining about reincarnation, but he says when you die, you go to the bardo, which is what we would consider hell, and then they reincarnate again. All right. But I went through all that many times already, so it's not like I need to go through that or understand it again. But you might need that experience to take a step forward. And the best thing to do is be a little more aware of your dreams. And when you do meditation a lot? No? Well, yes.
No,
All right.
she's atypical, but
Okay.
John, I think how we got on this was John 14, but it said many, my Father hath, and not rooms, my Father's house has many mansions. Is that what you referred to, Tommy? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's in John, the New Testament. But how does
Right.
that relate to Brenda? How does that relate to reincarnation? I think it's 14. In my Father's house,
I just
there's
always thought
many
that was heaven.
mansions.
Well, you know what Jesus said, and I quote it at least once a day. Jesus said, it's easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than a rich person to get into heaven. He said it 3 times in the Bible.
correct.
But we
Why
know
did he
what
say
that
that?
means because the eye of the needle was the door in the wall.
Oh,
And
we
back at
understand
that
that part
time,
of it.
the camel
But,
had to go down and to get into the door.
see, I'm not explaining it physically. What he meant, everything was a parable. It
Right.
meant if you have tons of money and you hoard it and you don't care about the world, why should you go to heaven?
Right.
You're going to care more about people when you're there or souls or anything? No, you're not. So I write that to Musk every day. I write it to all these people,
Yeah.
Gates and Al Gore. But here's the thing. When you're aware of what you do in this reality, it helps a real lot.
Yeah.
Sure. And like Buddhism, there's no good and bad. And there's no right and wrong and all those words. But you have to realize karma is the most dangerous word on this planet. Everything you do is accountable for it. Now, when the Christians said Jesus said he's going to forgive everybody for what they did, Jesus never said that. All right. He didn't say, well, I'm going to forgive you and I'm going to die for you. He can't die for what you do right now. If you stab somebody, you think Jesus is going to go on a cross and hang himself because you did it again? No, he's not. And he's not going to come back either. All right. All these people waiting for him to come back. He would be killed again if he did come back. They killed every spiritual person that ever lived in history if they could. One or two survived to get old, but they were poisoned and everything else.
Tommy.
Oh no, I'm losing you.
Oh. I was like, thank God we didn't live back then, because I don't know that I could confess Jesus as my Savior and be persecuted for it. You know what I'm saying?
You know, well, his
I
disciples.
would think I would go, okay, I don't believe, rather than being killed.
Well, Jesus, he told all his disciples, you're all going to deny me. And they all did, didn't they? Why? I would never do that. Not to any path that I follow, period. When I was in Eckankar, I put EK on my arm so that I couldn't lie about it. But when I got out of Eckankar, I had to get rid of the EK. But here's the thing, people. When you follow a path, it means giving to your path. Most Christians don't. Most Jewish people don't. Most Hindu people, they don't follow the path.
Right.
Moses gave them 63 laws, the Hasidic Jewish people. They can't live by 20 of them. If you want to read that, it's mind-boggling what he said. Everything about Judaism was wrong. Everything, yeah, all the things he said was horrible. And then here's another lie in the Bible. Jesus says, well, Moses was right. Moses was never right. All right? We don't follow Moses' laws. When you see something bad, you're supposed to pluck your eyes out. When you steal something, you're supposed to cut your hands off. We don't live by that law. Jesus wasn't about sacrifice.
Commandments, or at least I try to.
What, cut your fingers off? Poke your eyes out? No.
The 10 Commandments.
Well, no. See, he did. All right.
I mean, honor my father and mother.
Well, there's nothing bad in the 10 Commandments. Right? So the concept of love was only created 2020 years ago. Women were always slaves, and that's another horrible thing that existed all through history. All right, men didn't. The few women that became queens, or like even what's the one that fought, the girl that was killed at 20? The most famous woman. Oh, I can't even think of her name.
In the Bible?
The warrior, yeah, the one that was killed when she was 21 because she was leading armies and she was being told by God to do it. And they burned her at the stake at 20 years old. Joan of Arc.
Joan of Arc.
Right. So,
Yeah.
you know, they hated women every which way. And they never wanted women to be powerful.
Well, they just thought we were beneath them.
It's sad. To me, that's
sad. But I mean, that's just the truth of it. Is that
well? Do you want? I can give you truth further back than that, but I don't think you want to hear it right now. Aliens programmed men to be that way. They taught us how to kill, how to rape, how to abuse people, sacrifice, how to eat animals. In Atlantis, we didn't do any of that.
Oh.
It was the Garden of Eden. If you believe in the Garden of Eden.
I was going to say, it sounds like it was the Garden of Eden.
It was. It really was. It was. I was there too.
Why?
It was incredible.
What happened?
Aliens didn't like it. They wanted to take control over us.
Come from?
We have multiple alien races here. All right.
I know. That's what I'm trying to relate the Bible.
They don't care about the Bible, so.
Well, that's what I was trying to relate.
Well, let me just say this. We lost you again. Ancient aliens take all these new age alien people and try to say there were satellites there and the ships came down and everything relates to aliens in their viewpoint. And it's not about like spiritual things or anything important. So they don't believe, they don't have feelings like we do. So they don't care about what we think or feel. So when they abduct a woman and take their child and things like that, they don't care.
Who created the aliens then?
Same person that created. God created all things. Remember that.
Right.
All realms. There's multiple universes, galaxies. You think he created planet Earth alone? I mean, why would it?
But I don't think God would create aliens to be.
Well, he created dinosaurs. He created bats. He created the roach, the oldest creature on the planet. Yeah. We don't need them. I hate them. I despise them.
God created all things, all places, all dimensions, all realms, just for different times places and spaces. But in this one, we're protected by gravity, but things do come and go in occurrences. But we haven't gotten, well, we're just starting with the world religions before the Bible, and then the Bible and what people believe after the Bible. But people that study world religions in the history of humankind on Earth, there's a whole philosophy and a whole bunch of us out there that study ancient wisdom.
I know.
How it relates.
That's why y'all got to get down to my level. I
Well,
mean, people out there like me, and like I'm just like, okay, I don't even know
Well, let's go back to when the Christians, the Spanish and the Americans came to the United States and slaughtered 50 million native people. All right. These are the slaves and prisoners that came to the United States. That's what stayed here.
Smallpox.
So grow from peaceful, loving beings.
Beings, coming on to beings, giving them things they didn't have or taking what they did have, gold. And then we go all the way back up to the War of the Gods and the Anunnaki and the On and the Gigi and all of those, and Sumerian, and back over to Iraq.
Man likes to write stories. The Anunnaki is a big story. And
all of them are stories of the past, but now they're over in Sumer, and they are in our history.
The only thing
in Iraq, in the museums, all the Anunnaki.
Just because you think somebody wrote something means it's real?
Exactly.
Let me say
all of it. It's either all true or it's all not. It's
I
hard
can tell
to
you this. No. In Mexico, I deal with a high person. She has over 150 artifacts. There was thousands pulled out of the ground of the history of the aliens, the growth, what they look like, how they lived, and all their artifacts. And they've been pulling them out. It's a sacred ground. It's secret, but they keep pulling more and more stuff out from underground. It wasn't like somebody buried it and stuck it under there. My friend bought about 150, actually opened up a small museum. So there's artifacts that prove that it wasn't normal people creating these things. But there's still debating over the statues, who built them, why they're there, why are they so big. I mean, but the facts are there was multiple giants.
Giants built giants, exactly.
So we killed them all. The Book of Enoch was taken out of the Bible.
Bigger than.
Because they didn't want to deal with giants. They didn't want outside history. I could tell you, Jesus said, there's other things that are coming here, which you need to avoid. He didn't say
and portals. We'll have to do a show on portals and opening up the vortexes. There's movies out there displaying truth in fiction.
Dave, I'm telling you, I can't say it on the air and stuff, but I'm pulling away from that completely.
Oh.
Because I don't want to do it. I don't want to be at that place in my life. I don't have to be here too much longer. And I definitely don't want to open up a vortex and allow more horrible things come in.
Right.
Sergeant 18 and I did, when we were up there, he opened it up. Every kind of creature came in through that. I mean, but I don't want to be there.
There's a movie made about what you did, too. It's called it's called Area 51 in the UK. It's a movie out on YouTube. You better see it, Tommy.
All right.
It's your story, but it's of those creatures coming out of the
vortex.
Go
much deeper than that.
Took the storyline.
I don't want the government knocking on my door tomorrow. All right. I'm serious. I mean, they killed everybody I know, so I don't want to go too much further, especially with the UFO world. I mean, I've been trying to deal with the UFO Skinwalker Ranch. Not one of them will talk to me.
Well, if you know anything in the truth.
Lou Elizondo said he would come on my show. We'd have to make it the biggest show we can when I bring him on, if we can get him on. You know who he is, right?
Yeah, he worked for the government. Of course,
he's a top speaker in the UFO world right now. But basically, I challenge him. Well, he is. All the good speakers are dead.
He's the biggest. I think he's sort of a has.
All these people, all the people speaking right now, all ancient alien people have no experience, zero. All right, they're all storytellers. All right. So I'm a rebel about that. And that when Sergio and me lectured, we met people like Bob Dean. He was the most incredible guy in the UFO world. He worked at Top Secret. He told us there was 27 alien races, which Putin just said 3 years ago. All right. There's 27 races that the Russians are working with, and we're working with 27 alien races. Why would they come up with about the same number? But they also said, wait, 2 of them want to destroy the planet. How would they know that too? So that I don't want to get into that because it's not
Well, Luis
spiritual.
Elizondo, he worked in counterintelligence, or at
I
least he worked for the
understand.
Department of Defense. Let's see, he had a special position with U.S. Army, which was who my husband worked for, counterintelligence special agent. But he has become a media personality,
Oh,
former
I
director
understand.
of Advanced
But
Aerospace
he's
Threat
responsible for a
Identification.
kickback. He's
Hey,
responsible.
no,
He is. He is.
no.
Yes, he is.
On the Washington Post in 2004, it was already exposed prior to that on the
By
YouTube.
who? I mean, I was just saying, he brought it publicly out to the
These were
world.
leaked on the YouTube, but I saw them way before 2004.
I was filming ships from 96 to 2000.
Right.
Every kind of ship out there.
Well,
Nobody
let's
else
go
in the
back to
United,
Brenda.
nobody in the United States did. Sorry about that.
Why? She asked, who made the aliens?
We already came up with that conclusion.
So God made everything, Brenda.
Right.
God is the monad, and we go
He
back to
developed it. He develops it from what it is to something else.
God has always been, Brenda. That's
Put it
even
this
the
way:
best I
when
could
souls come
get
back
from
in the
all
next
levels.
lifetime, they might have a bigger brain, maybe 3 arms. Who knows? We grow, not just because in evolution, because God decides we need something better than what we are. All right. But if we don't deserve it, we won't even be coming back to
Well,
a good
Tommy,
planet.
if you die tomorrow, what would you
I
tell
can-
Brenda?
When I die or before I die?
I guess we're going to do public relations work now.
Okay. So
UFO
just gonna say
alienology again.
we're almost out of time, but I really would like to continue this next week.
well, we can. Let me just tell you this: I crossed people over. I crossed a total of about 46 people over so far in my life. All right. One of them was I didn't want to do it, which was my father. The other one was my ex-wife's father, which I didn't want to do, and my mother. All right. My mother already reincarnated. And it's kind of strange because when I don't want to get into the whole story now, we don't have time. But
Right.
when you experience things for yourself, reality changes. All right. And if you don't experience, your reality will stay a program.
Exactly.
This is what you're told. This is an apple. This is a car. This is a peach. And that's what you know. But when you go to another realm and it explodes into rainbows and other things, oh, guess what? It's not a peach anymore. Things change as our awareness grows. And so does the truth. The truth
He's
never.
got a lot of knowledge and a lot of levels and in and out, and he knows a lot of things. But getting him, like you said, Brenda, if you've never heard it, it's hard to swallow at one time. And I gotten overwhelmed today too, Tommy. I almost couldn't come on, but Brenda sort of, helped coax me because we all have things in life we have to deal with, and you know how they keep people meddled or bottled down with food, clothing, shelter, so they won't think about anything else, right? So in a way, we stay slaves to the system
All right.
that we
Let me
created
just tell you this before the
ourselves.
show ends. All right.
All
I
right.
committed suicide. I died. All right.
Why did you do that?
I'm not going to go through the whole
story.
story, but I was shown. My guides were there and showed me many things. I could go. I had 5 death experiences total. Right. The last one.
I'm not so good.
Some aren't, but no. Everything led me to a better place. Seriously.
Okay.
All right. But we'll talk about that if you want to do it offline anytime. But it's hardcore. What I did and everything else is way beyond anybody could imagine.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
She's got a lot of good stuff to
Well, I
talk
got
about
good
in
and
this
bad stuff
reality.
all along the way.
And why does it matter, Tommy, that
doesn't matter.
we share it with other
But the
people so
truth
they
is-
can expand their experience?
Well, you tell the average person, well, you go to hell now. I said, no, I'm living there. I can't get any further than this. But, there's things you can learn and things you can't learn. And experience and things help you open up more. When
It's
somebody
true.
dies, it opens your mind up. Well, there better be something better to go to. When your life's perfect, you don't think about death and where they go or any of that. But when your most loved person you know is gone, where are they? What are they doing? Are they still alive? Are they?
I don't know how people that don't believe in God survive.
I don't either. I
If
don't.
God, when my daughter died, I almost died myself. But if I didn't have God to at least look forward
Well,
to
The
it,
Universal The universal energy says we all go into an energy and we're all one energy. Why would I even want to be part of that? We are the most corrupted creatures on the planet right now. And I wouldn't want to be part of every rapist, murderer, killer, thief, and liar, cheater. I don't want to be part of any of that. I say
How do you
destroy
keep your
myself
soul
completely.
intact? Explain how you would keep your soul intact from all these people
All
saying
right.
we're all one. I mean, we get it
Very
on one
good.
level as a, what do they call it?
Well,
A feeling, a meme that we are the world. We're making the world a better place. We get the
because
MJ
we're
Michael
programming it
Jackson.
over and over. Trump is programming the world right now. He's on 20, 30 times a day. And the subconscious mind sees that. I started
Hey,
doing, wait,
hey,
let me tell you this. Wait,
I
wait, wait.
like Trump.
I started doing hypnosis when I was 12 years old. All right.
Yeah.
By the time I was 14, I had everybody in my neighborhood hypnotized. All right. But in the interim, my teacher was Kreskin, the most famous hypnotist in the United States. And he said it's called the power of suggestion. He said Hitler controlled his country by that. Trump is trying to do the same thing right now.
He's got some good PR people.
Well, it's worked for me because I love him.
Okay.
Works for
I'm not going to
Satan,
debate you that. That's your choice.
lose
I'm not going to
for.
fight over that.
I don't want
Uh,
you
All
to
right. Well, he could work for God since we're all made of God. You know, we're splitting hairs.
If we ever decide to work for God, we do good things, plain and simple.
We have to
Anybody,
say
Okay.
we
it's
don't,
Well,
God.
I know we don't have time to discuss this, but it's always bothered me that God would send his son Jesus even for a murderer just as equally as me. You
see,
know what I'm saying? It's like,
all right,
oh my
it
God, I don't
wasn't Jesus. It was Jesus' disciples that turned against Jesus.
right.
Well, he was
That
pretty
was wrong.
hip. He was
I
a
mean,
pretty hip
when
high
he said you're
master.
all going to turn against me, if Mary Magdalene didn't go back to the disciples, they would have all left the path. She
Yeah.
was the one that helped them see Jesus. If it wasn't for her, it was Jesus' teaching. She had to teach them so they could see Jesus. I can get into that. That's in my book, but we won't talk about that now. But we'll continue this next week.
Okay.
Uh,
Good.
you keep your questions organized. If you want to talk offline, we can too. But
Brenda, Tommy, you talk about so much. I don't even know what all your talking points are. If I had to go pitch you to be on somebody's show, I don't have them all. So could you sort of give us a talking point? I sent you one today, somebody we're interviewing tomorrow. So David Goggins, folks, but just read it, Tommy, and let's get a little more ideas for people that are just beginning, like Brenda. She
right.
wants to learn about when you watch the Alien, how much do we believe is true and how much is tinfoil
Something
hat,
you need to
how
know.
much is fiction, how much is nonfiction,
I
just
had
so she can
wait,
sort of
wait,
be
wait,
in
wait,
on the
wait.
joke.
I had serious problems all my life.
Well, you can help
Wait.
people that
Now, let
don't
me just say
know.
this. Everything in my life's a circle. I mean, everything in this physical reality is connected. So if I'm talking about a butterfly and there's a tiger over there, they're on the same planet, breathing the same air, eating the same food. So they're connected. I mean, if I just talk about the butterfly, I'm ignoring everything that's around us.
Yeah.
So I always bring everything in as part of it from my reality. All right. I mean, people, well, you're going to talk about butterflies. I said, well, how long do I want to talk about a butterfly? There's a lot more important things in reality. Death is the most important thing. And Buddha said that you should always be thinking about death every minute. Every minute we're closer to it.
Well,
Which
yeah,
we
because
are.
we're dying every day.
Exactly. So my boss would start shaking. Death. And he'd start shaking. He couldn't even hear the word without freaking out.
I'm
So
excited about it. I can't wait.
I had it so many times. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean,
I'm
it's not
ready.
like,
I'm like, Jesus, take me now.
Oh my
so,
goodness.
But I'm stuck.
you need to know what you're going to do when you leave. That's important.
Well, she needs to know why she's here.
Oh, you know
Well,
what?
explain. That's too simple. We'll talk about that next time.
As usual.
Okay, we need to shut down. But let me tell you this. That's so funny. I tell my husband that all the cute little icons, like the smiley face from, what is it, Kmart or somewhere, that I'm going to be in charge of all of those in heaven.
Okay.
You can choose that. If that's
That's her
something you
job.
really want to
That's
do,
her next
you
job.
you could get to that level and do it.
She's
What you want.
I
She
just
does
think that would be fun.
God's not bad about a lot of things, especially things like that. If you want to
Well,
go back
here
and
in
show
3D,
everybody
we're
a different
we're
story.
definitely manifesting, but we're going to learn what's important, what do we want to manifest, and why we're even here to manifest it all.
Yeah.
All right,
So we
TJ.
manifested babies. So we
Well,
did that, Brenda. So,
it's been
all
a
right,
pleasure.
Tommy, I guess we'll
It's,
talk next
it's
week.
great having you on.
It
Come
was
on again
fun.
next week. And you, TJ, we'll work it out
Yeah.
somehow.
Thank you, everybody. Come back to our Spiritual Path show. We'll keep working at being spiritual.
Bye-bye. Pleasure. All right, everybody. My two guests on today. All right, people. This is for information only, people. It's not to make money, raise money, or to save the world. This is only for people that want to take a real step forward spiritually, not believing in their ego or telling themselves they're super powerful or any of that. You are what you are. You will always be what you are. I mean, you can have implants and all other kind of things done to your body, but you will still be the same person, male or female. All right. What's real is what you are. Soul is what it is. It doesn't have to be male or female, just so you know that. When it takes on a body, it takes on that energy. And a lot of people can't deal with that energy because if they were female in all their lifetimes and they come into a boy's body this lifetime, they're not in touch with it. The same as if they're a boy all their lifetime and they're in a girl's body this lifetime, they're not in touch with it. But see, science isn't going to go into that ever. It's too far more to a spiritual level than what they can go into or be able to go into. All right. But we're here now. We need to attain what we need to attain, which is awareness, not of planet Earth. If you went to every school on this planet, every single one, and came back out to tell me about God, you wouldn't be able to tell me one thing different, or about an angel, or about death. And that's what I'm saying about schooling. So what you need to learn is inside you, who you listen to, what you listen to do from what they tell you. Don't ever say or accept anything I say if you don't want to. If you can't prove it, you don't have to accept it either. You don't believe in reincarnation, that's your choice. You can reincarnate 10, 20 more times and then discover it, but you'll take your time to do it if that's what you want to do. I'm only here to help people that want to get out of this time frame which we're in, which is 6 years. And we're going to see the upheaval of the whole planet. So whether you want to be in it, stay here or not, that's your choice. But being aware of who and what you are, why you're here, and why you can leave is much more critical and important. So till next time, people, Tommy Hawksblood here. Email me if you want to, hawksblood1@AOL.com. All right, I answer all my emails sooner or later. I'm in a couple of sites, and I just find out 90% of everybody on the internet is fake. All the famous people are fake. I've been trying to get in touch with, I'm not going to say all the names, but they're all fake. Oprah Winfrey. I thought it was really her. She said it was and went on and on and on. And she said, well, give me some money. For what? You got to join a club. I said, I've been in Oprah's club for 22 years. All right. And I did every workshop she had, every 21-day workshop she did. But again, they're all fake. Somebody's a multimillionaire, has 3 children like Gal Gadot. All right. She doesn't have to spend all day on a computer talking to people that are drawn over her body, which I learned the hard way. I wasn't drawn over. I said, I just want a friend. And it just became a nightmare. So what we look for is usually not what we need or want, really. I mean, everybody wants a lover, a mate, and a partner. But I said the only way that can work in a lifetime is each person has to give 100%. Not that you agree on everything, but you agree on doing something 100% when you have to. All right, people. My new book went for women only, and it's just that, for women only. Understanding a man's ego. It's an important book. It's not an ego book. It's not about money. It's about a woman protecting themselves in all walks of their life, wherever they go, whatever they do, and however they do it. All right, what they need to know, how they have to realize what men think, no matter what's going down. All right, and the major things they have to do for defense in any situation. All right, so you heard it here first, heard it here last. Till next week. I'm going to probably do another show on the UFOs by the end of this week. I can't deal with what's going on in the UFO world. It's cracking up. All right. It's kind of weird what's going down, and it's hardcore, but it's sad because the whole movement's changing to something that's not beneficial to anybody.